Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the 370Z. We're going to be looking at a few parts on the coolant line, replace a few that are prone to breaking if you own a 370Z or the G370s. The Skylines or Infinities, depending on where you are. They're common parts that will break, so we're going to be fixing those up, just putting in some metal ones just to make it look a little bit better and to prevent it breaking on us as we are driving. Don't want that to happen anyway. So I'll show you what we're going to be replacing and then we'll get into it. Today we're going to be replacing two parts, as I said. The first one here is this overflow tank, which will normally sits behind the radiator here, so a lot of the hot air keeps hitting it, so over time this will become brittle and just start falling apart. So we're going to replace that before it becomes an issue, which will help tidy up and make this front area look better. The other part is behind here, which might be a little bit hard to see, but down in there you can see there's two hose clamps. Yep, thanks for the torch. Right in between there is just a piece of plastic that connects the two pipes. Again, because it's coolant and it gets hot, that plastic becomes brittle over time and will eventually just snap. Sometimes when taking this part off, it will just break in the piping, so we're hoping that doesn't happen because that will cause more issues and it will just make it a pain trying to get it out. But we'll see how we go. We'll take you through us taking this apart and let's just get started. Alrighty, first thing you want to do is just lift up your car, whether it's on ramps or we've just got jack stands. Lift it up so you've got enough room to crawl underneath, because either way, you're going to have to drain your coolant lines just to stop it from overflowing and spilling out, especially the top port up there that we're going to be replacing. This sometimes can have coolant in it, sometimes not. But yeah, either way, it's usually a good idea. You're already taking parts out of the coolant line, you're going to have to bleed it anyway. You might as well put in new coolant while you're at it. So as you can see, we are under the car currently. Right at the back, you have to crawl in a little bit under, so make sure you give yourself enough space. You'll see that port that's in the center there, it's got a little screw underneath. We're going to be undoing that to get the existing coolant out as much as we can. Once that's fully drained, just drain it into a bucket. A few people say you can just strain it and put it straight back in. We're just putting brand new stuff in, so that's up to you what you want to do. Alrighty, so that's currently draining, so just take your time, slowly remove it. If you're not wearing gloves like I am, which you probably should be, if you get any coolant in your hand, just wash it off. If you notice it's starting to slow down, just take off your top cap. We've taken off the overflow one as well, just to relieve any pressure. Once we took the main one off, we noticed it was a lot easier for coolant to drain. So just wait for that to finish draining. While you're already doing that, you can start loosening off a few parts, like the two bolts here if you're doing this. But wait until it's fully drained before doing the one at the back, because you don't want any coolant just spilling out everywhere. Alright, while the coolant is still draining, I figured I'll show you the parts we're going to be putting in. This first one here is the overflow tank. As you can see, it's a full metal enclosure. This came from HC Speed Auto Parts, an American store. I'll leave a link down below on where to buy this. They were having a sale when I got it. Can't guarantee it will still be on sale when you have a look at it. But you can see the same piping, all in the same spot, and turn around. Same run, so it makes it pretty easy, but again, it's all metal, so it should hold up a bit better than the standard plastic one, as well as just looking a bit nicer in the engine bay. The other one we have here is the replacement little connector we have. This came from GK Tech, so they have Australian, American and Japanese warehouses that it'll ship out of. This was only about 35 bucks or so, so pretty cheap. Comes with a bleeder port on top, so it makes it easier later down the line when we go, as well as whenever you need to bleed your coolant lines. I got the overflow tank on sale. It came to about $115 US and came with free shipping. So that came out to about $175 Australian all up. So keep an eye out. It was cheaper for me to buy it from the US store than any Australian version. So just keep an eye out. Sometimes it works out better that way. So for the overflow tank, there's only the two screws, one here and one just there, just using a 10mm socket. So just take those off. When you start pulling it off, you can undo these tubings and just move them out of the way of the runs that are in place. So let's start taking that off. So when you go to take it out, as you can see, it might not show up in the camera, there's already cracks along where the screws were. This might have been from a previous time they've taken this out. I know the previous owner replaced the the radiator, so he might have just overdone it, but the metal one should stop that from ever happening. When you go to take it off, the top pipe here you can take off because that's only for if it really gets overflowed. But this bottom one here, as you can see, there was coolant in here that wasn't getting drained because it wasn't the highest point in the loop. So just lift it up if you notice there's some in there, let it drain out. That will help empty this so you're ready for when you swap this out so you don't spill anything anywhere. So once the overflow tank is empty, it might still be draining, but because there's none in the tank and this is the highest point of the loop, we can go and start putting in this new one. So let's get started on that. Basically the runs for the tubing will be exactly the same. If you buy this model, some will put these external pipes in different spots, so just double check with the one you buy if you don't buy this one specifically, which tubing goes where. Alright, so this is just a test fit currently. They've all just slid back into place, so that makes it really easy for reinstallation. The screw holes line up pretty well, exactly where we need them to. What we've noticed is underneath for this piping here, it is a little bit loose. So we're going to get some hose clamps and just tighten that back up so no coolant just leaks when it goes and back underneath there. Alright, so we're back. We've got our hose clamps here. We've got two, just because I noticed on the back. We're going to use one of these for at the back there. So just see what clamps you're using. You might have to buy a few more. We're only going to be putting one on this bottom one here, just because when it flows in, we don't want any to go back out. This little ridge here should give it enough tension, but we're just being safe, because it's not going to be the same, doesn't matter. The top one here, because it's only going to be flowing straight back out, we're not too worried about anything coming back up and out from there. So let's get this one put on, and then we will mount this up. Alright, now that we've got that hose clamp on, we'll just re-put on the two bolts. We didn't need the washers because one, they didn't fit, and two, these bolts come with their own from the OEM, they're the original bolts. So if you want, you could get black out bolts to match the design, but overall, once that's bolted on and your tubes are all in place, that's good to go. So as you can see, we'll do a bit of a zoom out there. That's what it now looks like. That definitely looks a lot better than the plastic one from before. I'll try and show them before and after here in the video, just so you can get an idea. But that definitely looks a lot better, and it should last a lot longer being fully metal instead. So now that that's in, we're going to move over to just the connector in the back there. The coolant is still draining a bit, but that point back there is the second or third highest point for coolant in the engine. So while most of it's now drained out, there shouldn't be anything left in there, or even if there is, it should be very minimal, so it shouldn't matter. So as you can see, this is the part we're going to go here. Up the top is just a hose clamp, down the bottom is like a little, what are they called? Spring clamp, whatever it is. So just see what's already on yours and just take it off. We've got both, so we'll take both of those off now and try and get the metal piece, not the plastic piece out without it breaking. So it's a bit hard to take it off while filming, so we'll do that off camera and we'll show you once it's off. Alright, so we finally got it off. As you can see, we took a few pieces off. We took off the strut bar and this top cover here just to give us a bit more room, especially for the the spring clamp, whatever it's called. There isn't a whole lot of space in here, so by the time we were able to at least wiggle it out of the way and eventually give us some room to pull out the old tubing, it just helped a little bit. So as you can see here, I'll go back down. So this is the original one, just full plastic. Ours luckily didn't break coming out, and it doesn't look like it was close to breaking. Yours might be a bit close, you might notice it already starting to crack and having some issues, so replacing that before anything does happen is what you want to do. This is the metal one here. As you can see, it opens the water port in the middle. And being full metal, this should last a whole lot longer, just like the other one. Alrighty, so now we've got that on. Sliding it on is way easier than taking it off, as you'll probably find if you're following along. We ended up putting two hose clamps on instead. They're a bit easier to work with, and the other spring clamp broke when we were trying to put it back. So see how it goes for you. But now that's on, you can see being full metal, we've got the bleeder port facing upwards. So currently it's set that we can just hand tighten that. I won't demonstrate right now because it'll get in the way of the camera shot. So we'll tie that up so it's a bit more sealed. But now we need to put more coolant in and bleed that. Alrighty, at this stage you can drop the car. Just remember to put in that screw that we took out to drain it, because otherwise when you go to fill in your coolant, it's just all going to come out straight away. So just remember to put that back in. The one that was on ours, and I'm assuming that's the stock one, is plastic, so just don't tighten it too much. Once it feels like it's tight, just leave it there because you don't want to strip it and break it, because then you have to go get another one. So what we've done here is we've just bought this It's called a spill-free kit. Basically has a few pieces that we can use. So it basically just screws in with a few adapters into this large funnel. We'll fill in our coolant through here, and then making this the highest point, the air should come out of there when we go to bleed it. So let's start filling this up now. Alrighty, so that's all bled. We'll put new coolant in. I'll leave a link to the video we followed up the top. That should be appearing now. If you want to follow that went through pretty much exactly what you need to do for this engine, whether it's in the 370s or in the A3 Skyline that use the same VQ engine. But pretty much once that's all done, it's all bled, you're not overheating, you can take it for a test run, see how it goes while it's actually driving. But that's all done. Make sure all your screws are nice and tight. If you opened up the bleeder port to let some air out from there, just make sure that's gone nice and tight once again. There is a rubber seal on it that will help, but yeah, just make sure everything's tightened up. If you have taken off the cover and the strut bars, just put that back on now, and you should be good to go. So that's all back assembled. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Is this something you'll give a shot at doing? We would recommend give it about 3-4 hours if you're doing both at the same time. That's about how long it took for us to make this and get this all sorted. So see how you go. I would definitely recommend for anyone that drives one of these cars or has at least this engine to put in that bleeder port at the back to stop it, because the plastic ones, yeah, as I said, it's just prone to breaking on these engines. So any chance you can to preserve it will make it a lot better. So if you enjoyed, hit like, press subscribe, appreciate it a lot. But yeah, that's about it. So see ya.